this is it. I'm just,
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Drulis. I'm the budget consultant for the city of Lambertville. I'd like to officially open up our administrative budget hearings today. I'll just give an opening statement regarding the budget hearings. My first question is, Madam Clerk, has this been properly advertised?
this meeting is not a meeting of the governing body, so it did not need to be noticed, but we did send it out through the city's listserv. We posted it on the city's website under the calendar. And after we're finished, we'll upload both recordings from today and Thursday to the city's website for the members of the public to view.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
So the city of Lambertville will host in-person administrative budget hearings on the 2022 budget today, February 8th, and on Thursday, February 10th. At these hearings, city officials with budgetary responsibilities will provide budget requests for the 2022 budget, including capital planning. The hearings will be recorded and posted on the city website for public review. Administrative hearings are relatively unique in that the governing body and public are invited to participate in the meeting by attending and listening, but there's no public hearing or governing body action, as our clerk mentioned earlier. The purpose of these hearings is to invite the public to witness the requests made by those who have regular responsibilities to the operations of the budget. The hearings will be the basis for appropriations portion of our draft introduced budget. The public will then be invited to participate in the process once the budget is introduced to the council. Cindy will preside over the hearings as she is an employee of the city, and she and I will work together in presiding over the hearings. Our witnesses are stacked in 30-minute scheduled increments. We hope that our city officials can attend, but we recognize that they're doing this on top of their other regular responsibilities. So, Lieutenant Brown, thank you for being here today with us.
You're welcome.
We're going to be breaking up the conversation between salary and wages, and I'm going to just explain these things now for our viewers at home later so they understand the format. The salary and wages, the hearings will address salary and wages in the aggregate. City officials will be asked if there are any known major changes in the current workforce, such as retirements, resignations, eliminations of vacant positions, or requests for new positions, either part-time or full-time. No employee should ever be referenced by name or singled out in this discussion. In the area of other expenses will be examined by budget sub-account. City officials will be asked to describe what is currently in their year-over-year expense line and what changes should be expected for 2022. And then capital expenses. The hearing officers will request a list of capital expenditures, the projected costs, the lifespan and purpose, and some rationale for the purchases. So at this point, I do want to welcome, we do have the mayor with us today. He is here listening in. The mayor and all members of council are invited to join us, as well as the public. So let's start with our police budget. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to ask Sue if you can introduce yourself, please.
Sue Bacorn, Deputy Treasurer.
Thank you. Lieutenant?
Oh, Lieutenant Brown, also in charge, Lambertville Police Department.
To my left, Ryan Berger, assisting me in budget consultation. All right, so we'll start with police salary and wages, regular earnings. By working off of city records, in 2021, we appropriated $920,883.66. We ended up spending a little less than that, $897,562.12. So can you tell us a little bit about your regular earnings and what you expect for the upcoming year, please?
Sure. A couple of those, in the regular earnings, we had a couple officers leave, which were at different step levels. So within those step levels, that's where we gained our extra expenses from. So I give you some examples, not looking at exact numbers, but we look at a new hiree, which is at between 43 and 45,000, versus an employee that left after 3 years, per se, if he's at 55,000, that's where we gained our net gains from. So we had at least 3 officers that left and had to be replaced, but they were replaced at a lower salary. So that's where we gained our expenses from.
Are you at full complement?
As of this date, we are.
Great. Okay. You have provided us, thank you, of a breakout as a contractual obligations for the officers who are currently employed through 2022. I'm in receipt of that,
Yes.
so we can use that for our projections. Thank you.
Yep.
Overtime. So in the overtime for 2021, $59,200 was appropriated. However, the actual was more at $66,292. Can you tell us a little bit about your 2021 overtime and what your expectations for 2022? And I think it's important the public also understands the process in which overtime accumulates.
Sure. Just to start off with it, from a basic standpoint, the staffing levels that we have are, is a bare minimum staffing. So it went from, when I first started, we had 13 full-time officers, now we're down to 10. So, and with that being said, anytime there's any leave requests, it's automatic overtime to replace that officer in the schedule. So that's where our overtime is. And I think there's something to note here is from last year's budget, from what was approved and what was requested is two different things. Meaning that we normally at the end of the year, if there's extra, we allocate enough in emergency service, as you well know, that we can't, I can't predict, I don't have a crystal ball to indicate what emergencies we're gonna have throughout the year. So when you're dealing with emergency services, you're gonna look at planned possibility of emergencies, where we're gonna come up with that cash at. So in previous years, we've always allocated out money to be able to do that. And then at the end of the year, if that money is not spent, it goes back into the general funds where there's a shortfall. Things were done a little bit differently last year with that. So the overtime was cut prior to, at the beginning of the budget. So with that being said, we did have an emergency, right? So we had couple different emergencies going on throughout the year. So we were left with our COVID emergency, which has been ongoing, right? So through the first year and a half, we were dealing with overtime issues with COVID, meaning we were closing down parks, we were closing down the toll path, and monitoring the Bridge Street and trying to control pedestrian traffic to stop the spread of COVID or through the precautionary measures that we had to do. There was overtime there that was spent, and then we had IDA, which the city hasn't seen a disaster like that in over 100 years. And so I can give you some numbers about hours for at least for IDA that we spent. So total amount of hours for IDA, regular and overtime hours, it was over 1,300 hours that my agency, my department, worked for just for the IDA. So that's where some of the increase in the overtime from the previous years. Understandable that when we request the overtime, the approximate money that we requested was $79,000. So we came in short of that, even with the emergencies that we did have.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
So your overtime amount, does that include the work that you do for Suez and Elizabethtown Gas when you have to close down a road?
No.
No, okay. Because I just wanted to make a point that they do reimburse us for that overtime. So where is that information in the budget?
So, glad you asked, because I have a breakdown. I didn't know where we were going to get to that point. Do you want me to address that now, or?
Please answer as soon as
Sure.
possible, would be great.
Sure. So with the amount of, for the road jobs, we had over 2,300 hours of road job, meaning outside agency jobs that the city was asked, and we performed and filled. So just these are approximate numbers that we have for this. So the breakdown is the amount of the whole total amount that out of those 2,000 hours, the city portion was $83,000 and 300 some cents, but change. Out of that, we have the FICA that has to be paid out by the city, which is $34,700. And at the end of the day, the city's extra expense that was coming in was approximately $48,666. That would just include the outside employment, we call it outside employment or road job, from construction, from Suez, whoever it might be, the outside contractors coming in. So that's not even mentioned into this budget at all. But why I say that too is think about it, that's how many hours. Just remember that for 2,377 hours, right? So in the bigger picture, when we go down these line items on here, what do we have to do about that? That's the staff hours, but also think about almost like when you see it on TV, when you're looking at what the military does when they bring in they just bring in 50 troops, right? They have to be stocked, right? They have to have vehicles, they have to be clothed, they have to be, so these are equipment that has to be provided to the staff when where there's 2,000 hours. So think about even just on the vehicle standpoint, that's how many hours of vehicles that the officers had for that extra amount of time. That's not even including the regular patrol hours, that's just the extra outside.
Some more wear and tear on
Correct.
equipment.
At the end of the day, yes.
So just on one other point on overtime, the overtime that was spent in 2021, do you expect that any of that would be put in for reimbursement as a FEMA as it relates to the IDA?
That's what we have done through Cindy's office, through the FEMA grants. And we're hoping to get some, I don't think we have had a rolling back yet.
We have submitted all of our forms to FEMA, and Sue was very helpful with the fringe benefits. So all of that has been submitted for IDA, and we will meet with FEMA again tomorrow at 2:30 and have a little check-in and see if they require anything else. So about 75% of what FEMA deems as necessary will be refunded.
Excellent, excellent, thank you. Before we move on to, let's go on to education incentive. Last year, we budgeted and appropriated the exact amount. Is that a contractual obligation?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, just, I'm going to ask that we pause proceedings for a moment, just for our personal privilege, please, if you wouldn't mind just pausing proceedings. I have to handle something. Great, thank you very much. Let's move on to other expenses, please. Unless there's anything else you want to inform us on salary and wages.
No, and just one thing to add, if you're dealing with the road jobs or contractual thing, we also, all the temporary no parking signs that we issue out either for construction or for moving, there's special permits that are issued out for a short basis but the city brought in over $25,000 last year for that. That's very high on our standpoint. By talking to Sue, again, we had the construction jobs that we're dealing with all year long. We were dealing with 30, 60 signs per week for certain construction jobs. So that was one of the revenues that we brought in, which was extremely high, much higher than normal.
Yeah.
And Bob, did that include Suez and Elizabethtown Gas as well? As well as people coming in for dumpsters or contractors who might just need to be able to put their tools out front?
Mhm.
Got it, thank you.
Okay. All right, so for the next portion for other expenses, there's various ranges. Now, every dollar, of course, matters in a budget, but I'm going to move quicker through the smaller amounts. Maybe you just characterize what that's for.
Sure.
And then we could spend more time on the larger amounts. So advertising, 2021, 800 was budgeted. What is the purpose of advertising your budget?
For any positions that are available in the police department, from civilian staff to sworn staff.
Thank you. Postage and delivery charges?
For discovery, for anything that has to be mailed out. That also includes random drug testing or for officers, for staff.
Great. All right, let's take a moment and dig into this next one, maintenance of motor vehicles. Last year, when we went through our budget processes, you had made a very thorough presentation on the condition of your fleet. And I think you had made the point that as vehicles get older, the maintenance cost goes up. Unfortunately, we were not able to make the purchases because of the emergencies we discussed earlier last year. So can you talk a little bit about what we're going to expect? Even if we could get the cars replaced, if we say we could, but they're not going to be available because of probably supply chain issues. So what could we expect in 2022 on vehicle maintenance?
I think we can expect almost the same that we had last year until we made the purchase of another police vehicle. We were looking at the maintenance fees almost doubled for the year because of the older vehicles. Now we've always had I know in our first budget hearings that we talked about a year ago, a 6-year plan. That was something that we looked forward to before we had the emergencies that came up, right? So we always had a 6-year plan for our vehicles, and in the previous years and administrations that worked out, and we were able to keep our vehicle maintenance costs low. However, in the recent, in the last year and a half, in the last 2 years, we haven't been able to do that. So half of the vehicles have over 100,000 miles on them, or close to it. And I'll give you one example. I just got from Ford. And this, how they came up with this number, not really sure, but this actually came from Ford. So I had a vehicle that was in for service that had 95,000 miles on it. What they crunched their numbers through it and compared that police vehicle that had 95,000 miles to actually a vehicle that a civilian or somebody like yourself or myself using on personal time would equal to 400,000 miles on the car. So that's what we're talking about. That's when people say here, oh, it's 100,000, I got 130,000 on my car. Well, now you're looking at 450,000 or 500,000 on your vehicle if you have that many compared to a police vehicle and how it's used and the idle time on it.
Thank you. All right, maintenance of other equipment, what would be included in that?
Also includes radar certification, radar Applitest solution, that kind of stuff that comes through.
Okay. Other contractuals?
Sure. Other things that we have through that we have the car wash. That's part of the other contractual. Anything else that comes up through that's part of the negotiations through the union for contract stuff. Most of the time we try to list that out by line items, but sometimes there's some things that come up in the contract that we need to purchase, so that'd be the other non-cut.
Your copier rentals in that.
There's a copy of this. Okay.
And your security for Telecom.
Are you back online, Sue?
Yes.
Excellent. So, thank you. So we'll rely on Sue. Sue has the books open and she can give us more details, so please jump in like that, Sue. Thank you. Clothing uniforms, is this based on the contract?
That's correct.
Okay. Anything additional would be there?
No, self-explanatory. The officers are in contract. They're required to have a certain amount of uniforms, coats, and that kind of stuff, and they had to be listed out in the contract, so we're required to make these purchases.
Great. Books and publications.
Very low if you look in the budget. In the books now, it's surprisingly, it just meets the requirement. We have one book that we get out of that books, and it's a 2C manual, criminal code, and it's very costly. But yeah, one book we get for that out of that contract.
For the benefit of the public, why do we have a vehicle parts and accessories budget line separate of vehicle maintenance?
Sure. So what we do with that is think about anything that we can get on a state contract, because when we go out to vendors, when we get our vehicle service, because that's where we get our vehicle service, we can't get the parts through state contract. So or by bulk. So what we do is we buy the like tires by bulk. So we try to stick with the same manufacturer of vehicles. Say if it's a Ford, we keep with Ford so we can buy bulk that way. So like the tires are bought that way, and any other equipment that we need, some of the oil additives that they add to the cars, antifreeze, that kind of stuff that we have to put in above and beyond than what's contractual for the vehicles to be maintained. So think about it, very costly to send our vehicles out for repair. We do it. However, if we can do something in-house, we do it.
Great, thank you. Janitorial household supplies?
Pretty self-explanatory on that, right? So cleaning supplies that we have, and we know through the recently through COVID, our supplies have gone up between masks, cleaning supplies, and think about the patrol vehicles that we have. Everybody shares, if not triples up on a patrol vehicle. So it's not like you using your own home computer. In our patrol room, everybody shares 2 computers. So everything's got to be cleaned down each day, every time the officer uses it. So we go through cleaning supplies, especially, it should have been before that, but especially during COVID times.
Thank you. Okay, education and training.
So we over expenditured on that, and we went over on that, right? If you look up the item, we did last year we did some bias training, and we brought outside vendor in for that, and it was well taken, and it was very good. So we also use that. It's kind of a low, I think with police reform and through the bail reform that's come up, that's going to be an additional cost. Now, how we work with that, if it's money coming from other line items to put in there, either way, at the end of the day, it all comes from the same portion of the budget, our budget. But if we're looking for change, we need to train our officers. We need to spend time and we need to spend money on training. Because these reforms do not come automatically, right? They come through training, and that's a big part of it. So we really have to look at that moving forward, but that's what that line item's for.
Have you had an opportunity to look at this calendar year and the current training plus any additional training that you may need?
I have not, we've executed all the Attorney General guidelines, additional training already this year.
It was a heavy
Yes.
guideline last year to this year. A lot of
Correct.
changes.
So we've executed that already, and everybody's certified and we're up to date. I know a lot of PDs are still trying to get their officers through. However, we projected ahead of time that we needed to get this done. It was one of the things that was very, very important to me last year, to make sure we met those requirements and added additional training to it. So I had not for any additional major costs. I don't see that happening this year with that.
The one thing that does get put there also that you didn't mention is the random drug testing. We put that under that category as well.
Okay. I skipped office and computer supplies.
Right, so, that line item, we look at, again, goes back to all those no parking signs, temporary no parking signs that are issued out throughout the year. That all comes out of that line item. So all the office, the paper supplies, the protectors for those signs that go up. So pens, everything you can think that it takes to run an office, that's where that line item comes from.
Uniform maintenance, contractual?
Yes, so in the contract, and it's contractual because because the uniforms are dry cleaned, we have dry cleaning through that. Been very beneficial through our time through COVID. Officers are not taking that clothing home with them. They're being, again, think about how many EMS calls that we go on. So the officers are able to come back. We have properly get the uniforms clean. They're not dragging that back home to their family members. So it turned out to be a very good thing that was in the contract that we're able to do and minimize, the infection rate with COVID.
Great. There is one professional association due?
Correct. It added that one line item, very small. It just goes to the Police Chiefs Association. In Hunter County, we use the Police Chiefs Association since we have a small county. Instead of having several meetings, we actually we use it as a joint meeting with the Hunter County Prosecutor's Office. As you know, they're the chief law enforcement agency in the county, and that's where we get together once a month and the prosecutor's able to discuss any changes that she would like to see through for the following month, or any new directives and policies. In the state of New Jersey, we have pretty much uniform policy and procedures. It didn't matter if I worked here or if I went to Flemington or Raritan Township. We almost all have the same policies, except for little ones that are directed at how you sign in to work every day or whatever. But all police policies are the same throughout the state, and it's directed through the prosecutor's office.
Thank you. All right, travel and purchases of vehicles has been a zero line for many years. Do you anticipate any change there?
No, and again, the travel expenses, the reason why that's in there is it's contractual also, and if we need it, we can pull from the contractual item line, because any traveling, if the officer doesn't use a patrol vehicle or a city-owned vehicle, they're obligated to obtain mileage for the vehicles and gas. So we don't use it very often. If we do, we can pull from another line item.
And lastly, we have other equipment and supplies, about $3,300.
Yeah, that's I would say we kind of lucked out last year. We've had an ammo shortage. I've been discussing this in our monthly staff meetings, but we did not purchase any ammunition and it's required to requalify twice a year. Last year we had enough ammunition on hand for one qualification last year. The AG suspended the second qualification because of the ammunition shortage. So we didn't spend any on the ammunition. So with that being said, I just was able to get an order in for spring qualification. I know the AG is not going to waive the qualifications for this year. So we're making some big purchases for ammo, and also the meter supplies come out of there. So when I say meter supplies, meaning all the batteries. So our meters operate in Lambertville under batteries. So especially with the wintertime, they go very quickly. However, that's where our meter supply is. Plus, we send the meters out to get recertified and calibrated. That costs money. We just did for 12 meters, I believe it was over $400 per shipment. So it's very costly, but we also bring in a lot of revenue from the meters. So
Lieutenant Brown, how much would you estimate the batteries cost a year? Like in the $1,000 range, or is it going up?
they just went up by, I think, it just went up by $6 or $7 from our last purchase. So it's increasing, I assume, because of just the cost of everything else going up. But
We do have older digital meters, and the batteries are going quickly, and we do need to calibrate and reset them frequently. So at some point, I think we're going to have to take a look at our meters, certainly not next year or this year, but it's got to be down the road, but something that we're mindful of today so we can prepare for it.
Excellent. Okay,
go ahead, if you had more line items that we're going to deal with.
I was gonna move to capital.
Before we do that, just real quick on personnel, back to salaries, and I know we jumped around a little bit, but I know we're at full staffing. Did some analysis in the last couple of weeks. We have a full-time special, we've discussed it before. They come in, his salary's between about $8,000 to $10,000 cheaper, less than the full-time contractual first-class patrolman. We call 10th class, but first-class patrolman. However, with that being said, they don't stay long. We keep them for about a year, then they move on because their certification runs out within 3 years. So they don't stay much longer than a year and a half with us because they have to get a full-time job, a full-time police officer's job before their cert runs out. I have to train them for 3 months, field training, prior to putting them out on the road. So if you do the math, we're spending over $8,500 of training that officer. That's before we get any services out of that officer or any shifts that he can cover. And then he's gone in 6 months. After you look at the numbers, it's not very cost effective by doing that. And so something we have to look at moving forward. I think it's a discussion the mayor and I have to have. We're spending over $8,000 in a 3-month time period. Why are we hiring not saying get rid of the class 2 special and bring in a full-time officer at that, because we would save it within a year. Cost savings.
Are the class 2s under the contract?
They are.
So they get the same steps and...
Correct, and so that's correct, but that class 2 is also gaining the same, he's still, what's the contract, everything that's in the contract is required what a police officer is going to need or have, right? So that class 2 is also getting those perks also.
Okay.
And it's really the class 2 is the salary that we're talking about. We're looking at between, now salaries are going up. We're noting it's also going up the contractual, but not as fast as, now we're moving up to, from when we paid our class 2s $10 an hour. I mean, and now they're up to $17 or $18 an hour. So moving forward, it's really not cost effective in the 3-month time period.
Okay.
Because they leave and then they got to be trained again, so we're not even having no room.
So Lieutenant Brown, for the public, a class 2, and then what is their next step after that? Patrolman?
Patrolman, correct.
Okay, so class 2 is somebody just,
Correct, so they normally, the class 2, if you listen to Title 40, they were utilized down the shore because, right, and they still are. I mean,
like a seasonal employee?
correct.
Got it.
So they're brought in, they work 3 months out of the year, they're fully certified. The police academies for the class 2 is 2 weeks less than a full-time police academy.
Okay.
But again, it's just a way, it's a cheaper rate to hire a lot of police officers for a short amount of period of time.
But then you have to do all the training.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's what the downfall is.
And is there paperwork involved with that as well?
Right, so the PTC has to prove that. It's fine, these class 2s are fine if you can find a retired officer that wants to come back and work the road. Do you think that's going to happen? That doesn't normally happen. We were very, very lucky with an officer that retired and came back a year later to be able to work like 2 years, work the road. But most officers after they retire are not going to go back out working the road again. But ideally, any other municipalities that do have that, class 2s that are full-time like we do, are retired officers that come back and.
All right, so we'll make a note in our work here today to to look forward to an analysis on,
Mhm.
on class two officers compared to hiring. Thank you. All right. Can we go on to capital?
Sure.
We talked a little bit about the vehicles and the fleet. Can you tell us a little bit how you've adjusted around 2021, and what you're suggesting we do for 2022 and beyond?
Sure. So we had a vehicle that was involved in a motor vehicle crash last year. It happened to be one of our older vehicles. So that was totaled out. We did get an insurance replacement cost for approximately, I think, $12,000, a little bit over $12,000 for reimbursement on that from the insurance company. I assume that went back into the general funds for last year. However, that was for the replacement of that vehicle that was in the crash. So what I'm looking to do is, because of the costs that we endured from the storm, from Ida, and from COVID, we put that replacement off. It needs to be done this year. Like I said, we got over, right now I'm just counting off our list here. I got 4 vehicles that are either over 100,000 or very close to 100,000. So in terms of that, we're looking at vehicles that are got over 400,000 miles on them. They got to be replaced. If you want a police department, we got to be able to fund it and support it. And that's the only way I can see to keep going here, because we're sinking money in the vehicles. We're putting transmission in vehicles that maybe are going to last another year before we're sinking another $3,500 in it for a new engine. Doesn't make sense.
Lieutenant Brown, are they 2015s?
No, they're older than that. So we're looking at, I got one vehicle that's down till 2011 that we're using. We're looking at 2011 and 2012. We're going to replace the 2012. 2011 we're using as a parking vehicle car, which is on its last legs as it is. But I'm looking to replace the 2012. That's got over 133,000 miles on it.
And
It's a
also
cruiser?
the car that was involved in the
Chevy Tahoe.
crash?
The top.
The vehicle in the crash is gone.
So are you looking to replace that as well?
No, just that one.
Just one?
Yes.
Okay.
So then, go ahead, Cindy, finish your thought. I'm waiting for you to finish.
Well, I was just wondering about live scan. If we ever,
Can we save vehicles for a moment then?
mhm.
So you were replacing a Tahoe. How many vehicles in total is in your fleet?
So we have 5 primary police vehicles, and the 2 additional vehicles that we have are just used for road jobs.
5
So-
plus 2.
Correct.
Of
And
those
the-
5, how many of them are SUVs?
All 5 right now are SUVs. And we got away from the cars. If you notice, the cars that are being made now is the only one that's making, I believe, is Dodge now.
Yeah.
Before we got away from cars, they just didn't hold up. And with all the equipment that's being put in there with the computer, it's so tight inside the vehicle. Even for the officer with the center console, that's why Ford, I believe, got away from their patrol car and went to the Explorer as the lowest level car, if you want to say. Just because of the equipment that needs to be stocked in the cars with the consoles. Makes it very, very narrow.
And then the 2 other vehicles are SUVs or cars?
I have a Charger, and that's over 100, and right now it's got 114,000 on it. We put so much money into that vehicle between transmission, the front end, so we're looking to roll that out and just keep it as a road job vehicle to do the road jobs or construction projects where they just sit idle. So we're utilizing until their end of life, not even end of life, twice the end of their life, until they just don't move anymore. I know the mayor's looking to get, we have one sitting in the back with a blown engine. We're looking to get that out of the way as soon as we move forward past this budget time. I think the clerk is going to auction off some vehicles for us and move forward with that, but we run down to when there's no life left in them.
So those 2, I'm sorry, one is a sedan and the other is,
It's a Tahoe.
okay, so of the total 7, there's 6 SUVs and one sedan.
And the Ford Focus, what is that?
That's just an admin car that the police director has, or now I'm using. I have some difficulties with that vehicle. we'll leave it at that,
But it's still operational.
correct?
Okay.
Did you
I'm sure you
include-
got the seat all the way back though.
Yeah, and, yeah, I just don't find any police chiefs that are using the Ford Focuses, and if you do, let me know. We can have the same conversation with them.
All right. Cindy, you were gonna ask something?
Yes, were we ever successful in replacing the live scan last year?
No, we held off on that. I think that was
So it's-
Mike and I had a talk with the live scan, so we do need to move on with the live scan. And that hasn't changed from our request from last year, and it falls into the Attorney General's guidelines for bail reform.
And that was about 20,000?
Correct. So, it's 26,000.
26?
Yep.
Got it.
Any other capital you wanna make us aware of?
Sure. Well, we're sticking on it. One thing we didn't address last year was the generator repair, because we weren't sure about moving, we didn't want to put money into something if we were moving police headquarters. So that's a discussion we're gonna have to have. Are we gonna get the work done on our emergency generator, or replace it? as a
How
whole?
old is that, do you know?
That was bought at the same time the police headquarters was built.
So is that a full, does that, provide full service when it's in use?
Correct, it does not. It runs maybe half to 3/4 of the building. It's the only generator that the city owns that doesn't provide full operations of the buildings. So, and you would think it would, it's emergency operations center that we run 24 hours out of the day, but it doesn't,
And last year, when we got quotes to fix it, what was their range?
yeah, sure, it's 3,600. I got it now, that was last year's 3,600. I put it at 4,000 now. Needs a new water pump, and I guess moving the water pump, it needs to remove the engine to get to the water pump.
So we really need to do an evaluation of,
Yes.
do we repair it, do we replace it? Because a repair is going to have to come out of buildings and grounds, but if we totally replace it, then it can come out of a capital bond.
Correct.
Are there other things at the police station?
Well, I think the lieutenant has a list. I'd like, let's not encourage thinking beyond what's on his list if he's well prepared with what he wants to spend the money on.
Marble countertops?
There. Do you want a desk too? Do you want a new chair? My chair's starting to break. I know, I was looking at the chair that the mayor has. I think it's a
All right,
lower
so you're
chair.
at
but-
your
you can
list, I
take
think
it.
you had a list.
All right. Hey, I got one other thing that we're looking at replacing. We're looking at a coin counter, which is probably over 50 years. It's 50 years old. It's been there before me. Cindy, it used to be at City Hall when I first started. We were at City Hall, and the coin machine used to be up in the conference room.
It's ages old, I mean, that's,
Has counting coins changed in 50 years?
No, but the amount of coins going through that has.
and the accuracy.
I'm sure it wears down the parts and doesn't.
Well, here's the issue, right? The bank wants us to count it. For us, it's better for us to count it, know what's going into the bank,
Sure.
so that when it's picked up by Guardian, we can make sure that there's, that there's accuracy and no problems. So I think this is one of those things that, we would be prudent and foolish not to do.
Well, I would just suggest that we maybe table it until we consider what we're doing with the meters. I mean, is it possible that we'll go to a fully online parking meter system?
You tell us.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Well, I mean, how serious is does it need?
Well, so right now so it was broke for about, it was malfunctioning for about 3 weeks now. We just were able to piece it back together again. And we actually, we count the nickels and dimes by hand right now. So, because the machine are not flowing the coins in the proper chutes. The quarters go in there, however, the nickels and dimes. So we had a major difference in deposits between what we were depositing, Sue, you quote on it, in the beginning of the year, to what the bank was depositing.
actually
We
reporting.
were looking at maybe, there was sometimes over $800 because the nickels and dimes were going in the corners. So what we
And
did is,
Lieutenant Brown, give us an idea of how big this is.
right, so the machine's about this big here, because, older machine. But we put a lot of coins through it, think about it. We do, think about it, it's about if I remember right from the numbers I got from Sue about a month ago, we put over, there's about 200,000 of dollars of coins that go through that machine every year. And the other 100,000 we get per se is from Park Mobile. So that's $200,000 worth of coins going through that machine every year. And it's been over 50 years. So no, the machine hasn't changed, but the amount of coins that we've been putting through there. And approximately, and Sue would have to come up with the numbers, I didn't get the total number, but it's usually about 300,000 that we're bringing in for meter revenue a year. So sometimes it goes back to the theory of, sometimes we have to spend money to make money. And that's my point with the coin counter. So right now, my parking officer sits there and separates the nickels and the dimes. So that's how we're dealing with it right now. So the answer, Mayor, that's what we're dealing with. And we can have this conversation, I think, moving forward with the kiosks and that kind of stuff, it might be worth to look at that.
Might be.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Is there an anticipated amount on buying a new one? Is that, I missed that if we talked.
The replacement cost is $3,000.
Approximately $3,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, anything else in capital?
No, I think that's it. Unless Cindy, do you think of?
Nothing I can think
Okay.
of.
Okay. Good.
Mike's trying to just kick me out of the chair as we
No,
go.
it's just, the longer you sit, the more expensive it
Yeah.
gets. But thank you for how you prepared, well organized, and for explaining these line items to us. So, unless anyone else has any other questions for the lieutenant, then I believe.
Thank you for the opportunity. I think this, in the amount of time that I've been here, and as many years as I've been here, this is, and I think I explained to you last year, this is one of the better ways that, not the best way that we've done dealing with the budget and presenting the budget and getting it out to the public. And I think working together with finance is a big plus, because we don't, again, I think it takes a team to be able to build this budget, right? And I think it's good that we have this cooperation with the team.
Agreed. Well said, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to suggest that we pause the hearings for a moment. Our next witness is here. We can take a moment and reshuffle. All right, we took a small break and we changed our witnesses. Next, we're going to go over Department of Public Works and also the solid waste collection. Lester, just introduce yourself, please, for the public when they view this video later.
Hello, Lester Myers, Director of Public Works, City of Lambertville.
Great, thank you. Lester, you had a busy year with the storms this year. Thank you for all you and your staff did. So let's begin with the Public Works account. So as you may recall, we're going to break the discussion up into salary and wages, and during salary and wages, we're not going to really talk about any one employee. We'll look at employees in the aggregate, vacancies, new positions, retirements, etc. We'll talk about other expenses, and then we'll finish with capital expenses. I suggest that we deal with Public Works salary and wages and other expenses, then go to, we'll take a quick look at solid waste, and then do capital for both at the end. Are you okay with that?
Yep.
Great, okay. So starting with Public Works, under salary and wages, the regular earnings last year were $130,515,000. The budget actual came in about $125,000. So the actual did not meet the appropriated. Can you tell us a little bit about, on the regular earnings, what's going on with Public Works in terms of what happened in 2021 and what you expect for 2022?
No manpower, need more manpower. That's why I went down, because I don't have the manpower.
So you had
Yeah,
positions that were vacant?
Yep.
Mhm.
And how many do you have today, and how many vacancies do you have?
Right now I have 6, and I have a part-time position, I think is open, and a full-time position that's open.
So your total roster is how many vacant, how many positions are open? How many positions are there in the total roster for Public Works, please?
7 full-time and 1 part-time.
7 full-time, 1
You're
part-time.
counting solid waste in that, are you not?
Yes.
He's counting solid waste in that.
Let's break that up, then maybe Sue has a better handle on it if she does the payroll.
I have, gotta find it on my list here.
1, 2,
1, 2, 3 full-time in Public Works with 1 vacant full-time position and 1 part-time position that is vacant.
So is that 4 full-time and 1 part-time? Or is that 2 with a vacancy making 3?
It's 3 full-time including Lester.
Okay, so 3 full-time, 1 part-time. And of those, so of those 4 employees, are there any vacancies?
Yes,
Okay,
full-time.
1 full-time vacancy, thank you.
So if you're fully staffed, then it's in Public Works that end, it's 4 full-time and 1 part-time.
That's not the count I have.
I guess.
Let's try that again.
No idea.
I have 3 full-time that are currently filled, including Lester,
Okay,
and then 1 full-time vacant.
so that ties into Cindy's number 4.
Right, and then she said 1 part-time, correct?
Yeah, but I misread, so there's no
Okay.
part-time open positions. in
Okay, so Public Works
DPW.
should, fully staffed would be 4 full-time employees.
4 full-time. And not to belabor it, how many vacancies in that 4 full-time are there currently? 1. Thank you. And does that attribute to the fact that the full amount wasn't spent in 2021? Okay.
Correct.
So in terms of Public Works, it's gonna be a difficult question. Let's just take a moment here and stop, and really build out your workforce. So we have 4 full-timers, 1 vacancy. Let's just jump to solid waste for a moment, if you don't mind. How many employees are in solid waste? Go
I
ahead,
have
Sue.
3.
Let me ask you,
3
a question.
full-timers.
How many positions are in solid waste, I should actually say, I'm sorry.
3 full-time, 2 part-time.
3 full-time and 2 part-time. Okay, how many vacancies are there in solid waste?
2 part-time.
Okay,
So you currently don't have any part-time employees? Okay.
okay. So the total workforce between these two departments divisions is 7 full-time and 3 part-time, correct? And of that, we have 1 vacancy in the full-times? Nope, 1 vacancy in the,
Wait.
Yeah, yeah.
7 full-time, 8 full-time total. 1 vacancy in full-time,
Okay, so he should, fully staffed, would have 8 full-time employees.
and 2 part-timers.
okay, let's restate that one more time, please.
Fully staffed would be 8 full-time
Okay,
and 2 part-time.
thank you.
And so currently, we need 1 full-time and 2 part-time in order for Public Works to be fully staffed. Yes? And we do have an ad in Thursday's Trenton Times.
Great.
That's to replace. No. Is that to replace or no?
To replace, yes, that's for, I put it in for a full-time and part-time. I didn't put numbers. I figured, let's see what the pool brings.
So that's 10 bodies by my count. 8 full-time, 2
Yeah.
part-time.
Yep.
Okay, let's take that 8 full-time and let's break that in between, how many of those are Public Works, how many of those are solid waste? Could anyone
Okay.
tell me that?
4 and 4.
4 and 4 on the full-times. And then on the part-times,
2.
2 solid waste, right?
2 solid waste. So the solid waste division has more employees than Public Works. Okay, great. Thank you for explaining that. So let's just stay in terms, let's say talking about these 2 unified workforces for now. The overtime in both categories exceeded what was appropriated, as well, in snow removal did as well in Public Works. Can you talk a little bit about the exceedances in overtime snow removal in 2021, and what we should be doing in 2022 to maybe avoid those overtimes?
You ain't gonna avoid it if you keep getting storms like you're getting storms.
Talk about the storms, how they're released.
Snowstorms, they're bigger, it's gonna take more overtime to do it. Unless I'll sit home and let the residents take care of it, I don't care.
I don't think anyone's suggesting that's the right solution. So the snowstorms are bigger, dropping more snow, more ice.
Exactly. More overtime to do the work.
Do you have enough equipment to offset the manual part of the job?
Not really, not right now. We'll
Should
talk
have
about that in
bodies.
capital.
You don't have the
Why
bodies either, so it's taken longer
Mhm.
in overtime to get the job done.
Everything around.
Okay,
Right, and in 2021, you had more of a hole, right? So there were times where you were down, what was your lowest point?
There was a point when I only had 5 guys.
So that really does impact
No, actually,
You're-
4 guys.
Yeah.
your ability to, and the four guys count, you're included in that. So that's, you know, that and having more heavier snow and more heavy rain, because also that when we have heavy rains, that means you're out cleaning storm drains
Correct.
so that we don't have backups. Yeah, and then that means that you get behind in garbage and or recycling. So it all has a domino effect.
Everything has an effect.
Okay. All right. Anything else to talk about in salary and wages on solid waste or public works?
You get it up, that's for sure. That's why you're probably not be able to get anybody.
Be specific, please.
The wages are too low. I've been talking to other municipalities, they're way higher than what we're putting out there.
So when you say way higher, can you give us an idea?
$3 to $4 higher an hour.
Okay.
What's the wage that we're offering compared to what wage you're hearing?
We're offering 15 an hour, and out there it's anywhere from 17 to 19, depending on the municipality.
Is that for someone who is just run-of-the-mill, who has no CDL, so
Correct.
you're unexperienced person that you're
Correct.
hiring? Right out the door, they're making $3 to $4 more than, we're starting people at minimum wage. Unless they come to us and, like, the ideal candidate would be somebody with a mechanical background. We would commensurate with experience and offer more an hour. Because right now, all of that falls on Lester's shoulders. Lester is very mechanical, and he can fix anything. But unfortunately, I believe he's the only one currently who can do any of that. And so that's why when something breaks down, that takes all of his time.
And just anecdotally, we might suggest, we might point to the story of the CDL driver who applied, who wanted a wage that was higher than we currently pay our men who've been doing this for many, many years.
That's correct.
So, yeah, it seems as though we're not in line probably with market circumstances for wage.
We are doing a salary and wage review, and I think as I'm watching, I'm getting salary and wages from other municipalities in Hunterdon County, and that will give us a good tool to use so that we can become competitive in the market.
Great. Okay. Let's go on. Under Public Works, maintenance of motor vehicles. We just had a discussion with the police about the cost of maintenance being up as vehicles age. So we exceeded our budget in 2021. What can you tell us about maintenance of the motor vehicles, please?
Just what Lieutenant Brown expressed, the older they get, the more they cost. The more than they call them on you. I just had a 2011 pickup truck go down. Here it was a valve spring. Luckily it was just a valve spring. It wasn't the whole engine job, so it only cost $1,700.
So when you have a newer vehicle, then Public Works really is just doing the oil and the
changes,
fluids, right?
tires.
But as it gets older, then you have to do what type of things?
I don't get into the major stuff like engine.
So we send those out.
That gets sends out.
But
Okay.
do you do things like brakes, brake repair, things like that?
I don't do it to the police cars. I do it to our stuff.
Okay, okay.
What is maintenance of other equipment? How's that different than motor vehicles in your departments?
It's the heavy equipment, backhoe, sweeper,
Okay.
Your mowers.
mowers.
Small engine, large engine,
Yes,
everything?
correct.
And I think that a lot of this, by having everything falling back on Lester, doesn't allow us to do as much pre-planning as we should probably be doing on equipment. Because it's all on him.
Well, I mean, it's all on him in terms of we should be considering an in-house mechanic, or we should be putting more things out of house.
Either way,
Either way.
one or the other. I mean, we've actually looked for an in-house mechanic, right? End of 2020. And we're not getting people to apply. So if that's the case, then I think we have to start understanding that we're going to have to outsource
Okay, well, currently that's what we're doing, right?
for most things, yes, but we're not able to pre-plan. We're reacting, we're not pre-planning.
Okay,
So we're waiting for something to break to fix it, rather than having it serviced prior to that next season.
well, I'm not being difficult to try to understand. So are we not maintaining things on a prescribed schedule and then they're breaking? Or are things being maintained on a prescribed schedule and they're just out of life?
We're maintaining them. Some of them are out of life.
Okay,
Some, like you said, some of them are out of life.
Yeah, I think some of our
Even
garbage
in the
trucks.
solid waste part.
okay.
Well, yeah, when we get to capital,
Yeah.
I have a list that Lester sent to me of all the equipment with all the years that they were purchased and the conditions, so I don't know if you brought that list, but
No, I didn't bring that.
it might be instructive to review it, for the purposes of the hearing, because it's a pretty sad state of affairs, to be honest.
It's very eye-opening, I believe.
Okay. Okay,
And it really will help us to inform the public why we have so many breakdowns.
okay. Other contractuals, that's a category that's not really used in the last 2 years. Is there anything you could think of that you use it for?
That I know of.
Okay. Clothing, uniforms?
Plain and simple. Safety boots, gloves, jackets.
Good.
For all the manpower. When they're
Okay.
there.
Vehicle parts and accessories?
Just parts that you need to fix vehicles.
And he does try to keep extra things so that if a plow goes down and he's in the middle of plowing, he can take it back in and fix it. But Lester, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we've had a little bit of problems getting things in because of the national shortage.
Yep.
Okay.
Still got stuff on back order.
Janitorial supplies? Anything particular besides just regular items for,
Oh, just regular
okay?
bathroom supplies.
Electrical supplies seems like a category you didn't use much.
No.
Hardware and minor tools? To keep your shop running, I'm guessing?
Correct.
Okay. General machine parts, same.
Same thing.
Conferences and meetings, do you anticipate doing anything this year?
Yeah,
Back to
maybe,
in-person?
maybe.
You have to, don't you?
I'm deciding something else too, but that's another story.
Wouldn't that fall under education and training or his certifications?
Education and training last year was overexpended to $1,500. It was a $250 line item. But then conferences and meetings was zeroed. So I guess education and training is where your CEUs and.
Yeah, and all that
Maybe.
stuff comes out.
That bias training that the lieutenant talked about was
Did
shared,
that come out of that too?
was shared amongst the departments,
Okay,
so that's why it was
I
overextended.
thought the number looked low in the police department. Okay. Okay, professional dues?
It's just once a year,
Mhm.
public works dues.
Okay, food's been zeroed out. Snow plow equipment, equipment / snow plowing equipment.
Parts for the plows,
Okay. Safety equipment and supplies,
that's gloves, hand warmers, safety glasses
okay.
for the guys.
Other equipment, which was,
Your paint comes out of, I'm sorry, the
Go ahead.
paint for the, road paint,
Comes out of safety and equipment.
yeah, others, yeah.
I'm
for
sorry, which
other
one?
equipment.
Safety equipment and supplies, we took it out of last year.
Okay. Other equipment supplies.
Other stuff that you need.
Yeah, you didn't really use that line much last
Not
year.
much.
Road repairs. The material for road repairs?
Material,
Storm-related expenses,
that's not much.
no, $167. How would you,
Must have been food.
Rock salt.
Rock salt
Storm-related expenses is the rock salt
Rock
and
salt.
ice melt.
okay,
for sidewalks.
okay. Let's move on to solid waste. We already did an analysis of the employees in both. Is anything we need to talk about on solid wages, or can we move on?
Just a comparison of the other municipalities with the salary and wage.
We'll think about these as a labor force, as a group between the two departments. Okay. Here we have some administrative costs, postage and delivery charges. This was a high amount of money that wasn't utilized. Was there a mailing that used to come out of this, $3,400 a year? Public Works ever have a mailing of sorts? No?
There's nothing obviously for 2021. I can, look for 20, but.
In 20, it was at 5,000. We reduced it down because it was underutilized.
The only one year put out,
Well, we have, under printing, we have, the stickers for Sparkle Week came out of,
But
Printing
that's
and
like
binding.
$800 or $900, right?
And it's a whole different line.
yeah, it was 760.
All
Yeah,
right,
it's
so
a different
postage and
line.
delivery charges may be helpful to us if we're not using it to maybe
Just
shift towards
eliminate
salary and
it.
wages.
Right, because if Lester has something to mail, he usually brings it into my office, correct? Yeah.
He doesn't do any major
No,
mailings.
no,
Okay, all right.
I mean, I think that probably was in there several years ago when we used to do a newsletter twice a year, and we would do the recycling flyer to include in it. But, you know, we haven't,
It's solid waste, right? I'm sorry.
yeah,
yeah,
we haven't done that in a while.
Great. All right, maintenance of motor vehicles. So this line is in the solid waste department division. How are these vehicles separate than the ones in Public Works?
they're the big trucks.
Okay,
Bigger they are, the more it costs to operate.
sure.
So when you say the
As
big
can
trucks, are you talking garbage trucks?
I'm talking garbage
Do you have
trucks.
dump trucks?
And we do have dump trucks.
Would
but
that be
not-
in that category as
not-
well? No?
They're all Public Works.
And the sweeper, where would that fall?
That's under solid waste, Public Works.
Okay.
Public Works.
But this is all the garbage trucks. We got 3 of them, 4 of them.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about that more as we get to capital. Other contractuals, 154, what's in that other contractuals?
Contractual is the tipping for the trash and tipping for recycling.
Okay,
What is the trend for recycling? Is it trending down?
It's starting to go down. I just sent you an
Yeah, I
email
saw that
of
today.
this month.
The
You
what?
should, I gave it to you too.
At some point, they were paying us last year,
Mhm.
right?
Yes, they
Yes.
were.
Are we back to paying for it again?
Yes.
Yes, last 3 months, I think we've been paying
Okay.
for it.
So I think it's like down to $17 now.
Yeah, I think that's like
Okay.
17 for single stream, I believe.
are we a full single stream community?
Yes. Full single stream.
Okay.
Co-mingles even twice the mill.
Yeah, it's 23.
Okay. We should just make a note in the file here regarding single stream versus dual stream recycling and reimbursements. Uniform and clothing, I imagine this outfits the group that's in solid waste,
Correct.
okay? Vehicle parts and accessories to support the vehicles in solid waste, janitorial supplies, hardware, 0, general machine parts. What would be different in solid waste for general machine parts, or is,
General machine parts, you can use it for like hoses, hydraulic hoses.
okay? Other equipment and supplies,
Same thing.
miscellaneous and other admin costs. Sue, do you see what's in there?
I'm catching up, I was looking, trying to find out why we had that money allocated for postage. Sorry, where are we? Miscellaneous and admin?
Yes,
Okay, I have the advertising for employment ad is there,
Okay.
and the drug and alcohol screening that is
Oh, that's
required by
right.
the drivers.
That's right.
great. Let's just take a moment and go about the postage and delivery charges, identifying that.
Yeah, I couldn't find, I went all the way back to 2018 and I couldn't find,
There was one event that triggered it because I see the amount of money, but I think it'd be a helpful area we can use to
maybe
move
it
money.
was when we decided to charge a garbage fee, that came out of
That was
solid.
in
income.
2010.
Yeah, it was canceled out.
Maybe just carried, I don't know.
Okay. All right. We've discussed salary wages, we discussed other expenses. Before we go to capital, is there anything else in those categories, Lester, that we should be talking about?
No, I think we went over what should be going over.
Great. Okay. Let's take a moment here and talk about capital now. I think just to make sure the conversation is somewhat organized, because I think we have a lot to talk about here. Maybe we can just think about it in terms of project by project by project. Let's give it a name, let's tell what it is, and we estimate the costs are. And then we'll build out a little table here that we can work on as we move through this budget. So, you wanna go off the top of your head?
Capital,
Yes, sir.
number one thing I'm looking for is a trash truck.
Okay,
The one I have now is a 2009, it's on its last, it's not on its last legs, but it's working to that point.
okay,
This is the fourth year I'm trying to go for it.
yes, sir.
Lester, when we talked about this last year, you were talking about doing a dual truck?
Yeah.
No, doesn't
No,
work?
that wouldn't work because of the holidays. With the holidays, there's more trash, there's more recycling.
Got
I
it.
do
I
wanna,
thought about it more,
I do wanna make sure we're organizing ourselves here first, so Sunita,
Yes.
just bear with me for a minute, please. So we have trash truck.
Yep.
That's to replace,
the backup.
2009.
I'm sorry?
It's going,
2009.
To
No.
replace 2009 what? What's it called?
it's gonna replace the 98
Okay,
Volvo that we have.
replace a 98 Volvo.
Yes.
All right, and what's the replacement cost estimated?
Estimate, I'm gonna say about $250,000.
Okay. And you wouldn't happen to have an idea of the lifespan of that truck approximately?
10 to 15 years,
Okay,
easy.
and that's to replace the Volvo.
Yes,
And what is the current function of the Volvo?
a backup garbage truck.
Backup garbage truck.
The garbage truck that we're using now will become the backup.
And you said that has some value still. in
Just a
body.
little bit,
Is that the 2009?
yes.
No, yeah.
Are you talking about the one we're getting rid of?
Yeah.
It has a little bit of value in the body, because the body's a 2012 body. But it's on a 98 cabin chassis. Just a chassis starting
So you would liquidate the 98 Volvo?
Yes.
Okay. Trash truck, $250,000. Next project.
A pickup truck, which would be a F-350, to replace the 2006 Mason dump.
We don't use the dump anymore?
No, it's beyond repair.
What is
But
the
you
cost?
don't need a Mason dump.
No.
What is the cost?
The cost, last year's price was $47,000.
Okay,
That's with a dump body in the back of that.
And does that include everything, like your radios and
Fitted out?
everything?
Yes, plow,
47,000 fitted out?
yep,
Lifespan?
15, 20,
Is it diesel?
no gas.
Okay. And this would become the replacement to the Mason dump,
Correct.
okay? Next project?
The only other project I have is another pickup truck, that the pickup truck got flooded during Ida.
Is that also going to be an F-350?
Yes.
It's replacing a what?
F-350.
2015, I think it was.
2015 pickup.
Has the city been reimbursed for insurance on that?
We got a blanket check for $250,000, and that's part of that.
Okay.
So, but I'm still waiting for the breakdown from them, and they have to still come to pick the truck up.
Okay. That's 47,000 as well? It's just two sister trucks essentially?
Well, that'll be a little cheaper. I'm gonna say maybe 40 grand for that, because
Okay.
I'm not putting a dump body in it.
No dump body.
Yeah.
And is this the extended cab?
Yes.
And do
Crew
you
cab,
need the
both.
extended cab?
Will they have lifts? You know, the back, you have the one truck with the lift?
Yeah,
Will this have a lift?
it's a replacement one will,
Okay.
So the second one?
yeah.
Because the other one's a dump body.
The one will have a dump body in it, the other one will have a lift key.
Okay.
I have 3 items for your capital. Is there any other items?
Snow blower, but does that go into capital?
I don't know if the snow blower would go in there or not, it's only
It's
700
less-
bucks.
Yes,
Where would you be using this for?
Snow blower, I don't have any.
sidewalks.
Sidewalks.
We do a
got
lot of
A
sidewalks.
lot of sidewalks.
So
All up by the school.
would we be better off to get a small Kubota than to get a snow blower, a small Kubota with,
We have a
Little
small
plow.
skid steer.
Because the sidewalks are too small, won't accommodate it.
And I think the other problem is that even if it did, with, like, we have those signs every so many feet, so you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out. It just doesn't make sense.
okay, it's just snow blowers are, they're finicky when people use them 3 times a year at their own houses. We know that I wonder what kind of solution that we could, that maybe more of a machine that would be helpful to you than to have a snow blower, because we'll put in a list for a snow blower, but, you know, sometimes there's attachments we could purchase for these
I
small
know
machines.
there's new machines out there, but I can't see spending that much money on a,
So I think part of the
I
problem
think you said it
is,
snows a lot now, bigger storms.
bigger storms was the shovel gets old quick.
and I'm not sure that we'll always have people that are capable of driving big equipment. So this allows us to have some flexibility with people who are, throw it in the back of the truck, go around, do all the sidewalks. You know, you can let somebody do that maybe couldn't get into, let's say, backhoe.
So my suggestion, I'm gonna write snow blower, let's get a better handle on what exactly the operation of this thing is gonna be, and maybe go out to the market and see what kind of equipment we'll need to buy. You know, we're gonna end up with a piece of equipment that's over $5,000 if we're gonna get something that's gonna be industrial grade, commercial grade for the city.
I know they got some new ones out there, but,
Could you get something that's a multi-function as well?
yeah,
You know, not just,
Change the
I see the-
attachment on it,
I seen the state with them,
yeah.
so I know there's gotta be a state contract on it.
And there's a direct linkage between mechanization and saving your workforce, whether it's overtime, wear and tear on their bodies, so. All right, snow removal, great. All right, I'm not pressuring you, but is there anything else you want to add? You did great.
storage shed. You need a storage shed?
You just gave him a
Want me to
garage
keep
at the
going?
Boston Farm, 5 pounds.
Huh? Whole new garage?
He's got his own
All right,
garage.
well,
We're
You can
good.
put a garage in there if you want, I can see through the walls right now.
so then you don't need those new windows, you see?
I
It
got
all
cracks
worked
in my
out.
walls.
Okay. All right.
Want me to
that's
keep
good.
going?
No, I don't, but I appreciate you being here, so, thank you for all your thoughts. Unless you have anything else for us, you're free to go.
I mean, in the future, you're gonna need a garage,
Okay.
just letting you know. I was sitting down the other day, and I'm looking, I think, oh, there's another crack I can see outside.
Good.
Do
All right.
Do what I can with what I got.
Thank you. If you have nothing else then,
Nope.
you're free to go.
Thank you.
All right, have a great afternoon. I hope this weather gives you a break with the snow.
Lester, what time do you think you're gonna be up there trying to let them know? Like, early, or
Not early.
Let's
It'll
see.
probably be after
We're a
10.
little
After
behind.
10.
Ma, be
Okay,
quick.
perfect.
Have a seat.
thank you.
I'll be real quick.
I have to leave, I'm sorry. I have a meeting since breakfast, and I have a meeting at 3.
Good afternoon. Mr. Drulis had to leave us for a few minutes, so we will go on with the clerk's budget. This year, we are asking for our cost of living raise of 2% for salary and wage. I'm not anticipating that anyone is going to retire or leave their official duties. We go down our subcategory list for advertising. Last year, we had $5,000 budgeted, and we spent almost all of that. I anticipate this year that we'll spend a minimum of $4,000. The unknown is COA and redevelopment. As I'm sure most people know, we are currently revisiting our COA obligation, and that is going to require mailings, or has a potential to. I would like to leave advertising at $4,000. Postage last year was budgeted $1,200. I'd like to increase it to $1,800. Again, that's for the various mailings that come out of my office, and postage rate is increasing. Printing, it's just for business cards, letterhead, $500 is sufficient, so I ask that we leave it at that. And see, maintenance of equipment, I'm going to take that down to $0. I really don't have anything that we maintain in that way that is not technology related. Legal services, this usually covers like tort claims, anything that may come up with a labor question. Last year, I think we budgeted $3,000, I spent close to $2,000. Is that correct?
We've already spent anything.
Yeah, so I would like to leave that at $2,000. Professional consulting fees. This was things like we would hire people to help us with our website, just the little tiny details like Google Analytics. We also cover fees for Oprah and OPMA, so that our website and Facebook, which for years was not active and is becoming active again, so we could archive comments. Contractual items, this is our copier and postage machine. We don't have a postage machine. I'd like to lease one so that it would help with some of the bigger mailings. We are currently still wetting envelopes and putting postage on it. So I feel like if we could get a postage machine, we would be better off. Books and publications. I didn't get the Title 40 last year or the League of Municipality publication. I would like to order them as long as this is the year that they upgrade them, update them. Supplies, I'd like to take that up to $4,500. That's for the computer and for registrar. Registrar, that covers birth, death, and marriage licenses. And with the renovations at the Lambertville station, they are doing 4 or 5 weddings a month. So my supplies have increased. So I'd like to keep that to take that to $4,500. Education, conferences, and meetings. Last year we budgeted $800. But this year, the deputy clerk is going through clerk classes, so I'd like to increase that to $4,200 to cover the cost for him to take 3 classes, and also this is the year that I need to renew my registrar license. Professional association dues, this is all of the memberships, so it's the League of Municipalities, Municipal Clerks Association of New Jersey, and the Registrar, State Registrar of New Jersey. The reason they're important is we get to take all of our training classes, and we get them at a really, at a reduced rate if you're a member. Not only that, but you get updates. So anytime state law changes regarding licensing or registrar, we get the notice. So clerk, mileage and travel. This is for travel to and from clerk meetings, to and from the educational things. A lot are offered today online, but we still have to go to Flemington to take the election boxes back. Typically I do that. And also, in addition to that, we have, whenever you place an order at the Hunterdon County print shop, it's very cheap, but that means we've got to go pick it up. Election expenses. Last year we had a $5,000, and last year was a presidential election, so typically it's a little bit higher, but this year we have new election machines coming in. So I'd like to keep that at $5,000 to cover those expenses. Codification of ordinances. Last year we budgeted $79.65. We didn't quite spend that amount, but I'd like to leave that at $7,900. And what that covers is every time we update an ordinance, we send that off to a company who puts it into book form for us, as well as updates our online ordinances. And why is that important? Because if there's ever a dispute, we're up to date on codifying our ordinances, and that way we're not subject to a lawsuit. So that's basically my budget. 2% on salary and wage. Overall, I know it sounded like a lot of an increase, but it really ended up being about a $1,500 increase from the 2021 budget. And you have to also keep in mind that this year we are all back in the office. Last year we were home a lot, working from home, so I do expect that we will be spending this information. Now, the only thing that I have for capital
Can I ask
is,
a question?
yep,
Did you go over your conferences and meetings? Did you include that?
conferences, so conferences and meetings,
That's usually the league.
yep, but I added in $4,200.
Okay.
So I think
missed
that
Sorry.
is going to cover, everything.
Okay. Sorry, I missed.
Nope, that's okay. So capital, at City Hall, if you were to take a tour, you would find records in the basement, construction records, old bids, all of our registrar. We have records that we're required to keep dating back to prior to 1950, prior to when we were a committee form of government. We have all of our street records. Anytime we redid a street, we have all of those records. So I'd like to, and we're pursuing a grant to fund digitizing our records. Our attic is filled with boxes, and this would do two things. First of all, it would get the weight off of the floor in the attic, but it would also make the offices, all of us, run more efficient and be more effective. Imagine this, I get a request for a marriage license from 1955. I have to go down to the basement in the archives, look for the book for 1955, bring it upstairs, find the license, and then go ahead and fill that request. But if everything was digitized, I'd go to my computer, I'd put the name in, and it would pop up. So it would be so much more efficient if we had it available to us digitally, but also it protects those records in perpetuity. So right now, we have things that are stored in filing cabinets that are fireproof and waterproof. But, right now that means it's going to grow. It's going to continue to grow, and it's going to take more and more space that we currently don't have. But if we had them scanned and we followed the state's Division of Archives and Records Management rules regarding digitizing, we would be able to do this and make every office run efficiently. Because if something happened, let's say in construction, and somebody came to the window and that office was on vacation, we'd be able to put that information in and say, oh, here's where your permit is. But right now, today, it's all paper and all hard copy. So whenever you're filling an OPA request, which we get about 10 a week, you're searching somewhere in the building to find those records. So we met with a company called Favoronics. We're still investigating other companies, but I feel strongly that if we every year budgeted $5,000 for records management in capital, that we could slowly chip away, because there's no way we're going to have somebody come clean us out, take all of our records and digitize them. But if we very slowly went through the process and we did registrar, or we did a section of the construction office, we could, over a 5-year span, go ahead and digitize all of our records, destroy the hard copy, the paper, and it would make things so much more efficient. It would make our city hall open up rooms and make them available to us for use that have never been used. So that's my spiel.
Is there any specific equipment we're talking about when it comes to digitizing? You're saying
It's
equipment
not,
company.
because a company would come in,
They would, okay.
we met with Favoronics. I'd like to meet with a couple other companies, but they come in, they take a look at all of your records, and then they start where you tell them to start, and they stop when they reach that budgeted amount. They make sure that everything runs through the Division of Archives and Records Management, so that you have your approval to follow this method before they even begin. At the same time, they would train the staff, because what you want to do then is start, as you get new records, scanning them and saving them in the same searchable format, so that through time, you're getting rid of what you have today, you're chipping away at what you had from yesterday, and at some point you're going to come to a place where you only have the records that you're required to retain in perpetuity.
Okay.
Okay? Any other questions? Sue? Great. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to bring Rick Carmesino up. Please come up and have a seat. Mr. Carmesino, let's start reviewing your budget.
So I'd like to have a salary increase of about 50,000.
You and about 100 other people, so
Hey,
let's
how
get a
long
little
have
bit
been
more realistic. How about cost of living?
seriously underpaid? No, seriously underpaid for my job
Okay?
compared to other assessors.
Well, you're not alone, but, so let's go over your budget. S&W, do you see any changes this year?
Well, I'm just, I guess, stuck at 2%.
Okay, so no changes in personnel. You're not looking to retire, anything like
No.
that?
God,
Okay.
no.
So then let's move on to your line items. Sue, you want to give us a line by line?
Postage probably should be increased.
So what did we,
Postage,
For
we
the
had
reval, the reassessment.
$2,100 budgeted.
That should be, I'd like to bring it up by 25.
so what did we spend in,
Well, we had $17 left in that line item,
and he budgeted,
21.
all right, so
It's
we
going
know
up.
the budget's going up.
Stamps are going up again.
Do you have any other mailings
Well, I have
that
two
are outside?
mailings.
Yeah, but anything outside your normal two
No.
mailings?
No.
All right, so just the two mailings.
So that was, I'm sorry, that was the envelopes that we order from the postal
Right, and
service.
vital, well, yeah, that's separate.
Right, that's under postage and
Okay.
delivery. That was just the envelopes with the postage already on
Okay.
them that we ordered.
Okay.
And
So let's
then we
bring that up
have
to what, 23 then?
23,
Yeah.
okay.
You think 23 is going to be sufficient?
All right, no, can we, all right, let's do 25. That should be all right,
Okay.
because there's always some left over,
And then we have the printing and binding, which is where the vital comes in at.
right?
And last year, well, that was just mailing labels, the farmland forms,
Mhm.
gross sales, and return address, I don't know what that is, it says, but
Yeah,
that's all
yeah,
vital.
Right,
But that was only $400.
right, bring that up to 5.
Well, we budgeted 6, so we
Okay,
want to
good,
leave it
okay,
at
that's
6.
fine, okay, I'm good at that.
Okay, and then we have professional memberships.
Okay, that's my courses and
Memberships.
75 for Hunter County, I think.
Yeah, it's 75 for Hunter County, and then I don't know We paid 20 and 21 last year.
Right, so 22 we do for this year.
Yes, so
75.
we budgeted a lot of money in there, and I don't know why last year, because it's professional consultants and special services.
Well, that was in case of tax appeals.
Okay, so do we leave that
I would
there?
leave it just in case.
Okay,
These people are getting more
Okay.
funky about their
So
assessments.
that's consultant and special services.
Right.
And then I have, let's see. So the Hunterdon County Assessors is the only membership, Rick?
Right,
I thought there was a second one. No?
no, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Books and publications, there was $50 budgeted, but you didn't spend anything
Yeah,
there?
we'll keep that.
Okay. Computer supplies,
I do need a new computer and printer.
because that would be
I have to
capital.
have it,
right?
yeah, okay.
so, yeah, that's capital.
Right,
Okay, then education and training.
that's, what's that at now?
Uh,
Because I still have 23 more credits to take.
A hundred, and
It's
zero
$100,
zeros.
yeah.
That's all?
It was at 250, but then we yeah, it was 250, I'm sorry.
All right.
We transferred money out of there because
We're
it
bringing
wasn't
up
used.
3.
So, that was education and training, right?
Right,
To 300?
right, please,
And then, travel is at 75.
okay.
That's your mileage reimbursement
Yeah.
for whichever courses you take.
Right.
Certification renewal. And data processing, that was something for Vital. It says install config Vital VPN. That was 250.
Right,
We didn't have anything budgeted in there last year.
okay, you're gonna want to budget at least 350 for that, because if I get a new computer, we're gonna have to, we can buy the computer, they'll set it up. We don't have to go through them and buy hardware.
Okay. It's 300. Okay, that's all I have for your
Right.
budget.
Capital will then be a new computer and printer.
Okay, do you currently have a printer?
Yeah, but you buy a new computer, that's obsolete.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I do have one,
Okay,
we do have one.
um,
But on the new Windows 10 and Windows 11,
no, I know,
it's a 4-year-old printer, it's not gonna recognize it.
yeah, no, I totally understand that, but I would recommend that when you get the new computer, that you hook up to the clerk, the RICO from the clerk's
But yeah,
office.
whoever wants it, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
I mean, you certainly can have your own printer, because I know sometimes it's easier just to print one thing, but when you're doing a large volume printing, it's, you know, you could send it right to the printer.
But see, I don't do large volume.
Well, you leave it for us to do.
No, that's copying. That's anything you guys do.
It's the same thing, you could pull it off of the state website, it would look nice and crisp. We'll show you. So when you have something major, we'll show you how to print to the
I
RICO.
don't think those letters are available online. The income letters that I do, that I have the clerk print out.
I think you'll find out that they are, and even if you're printing them out from your computer, they're gonna be so much more crisp.
Actually, I had to beg the tax board to get them. They're not online.
Well, some of this stuff is online,
Yeah, I know some of it, but yeah, the
so
income letters were not.
let's move so things are a little
Yeah,
bit
no,
better.
that's no problem.
And if there's
yeah.
anything that we can do to move things electronically, maybe
Mm-hmm.
through SDL in some way, or, you know, mail things out electronically, let's try and move towards that way. Leave the budget this year, but let's see what we can do electronically versus mailing out postage.
How am I gonna get everybody's email?
You'll be surprised at what we have.
250
Um,
emails?
You'll be surprised at what we have,
Okay.
yeah. You know, I'm just,
That sounds
and
like a mess
as
to me.
people start asking, just ask them for their email address, that's what we're doing. And we have built quite a database in doing that. Some people, you're still going to have to mail
Yeah, that's
out,
the problem.
but the more you can do electronically, or the more you can make available on the website for them to pull down and print.
Yeah, but they're not
the
gonna
better.
do that. Believe me, they argue and fight on these income letters now. as it
I
is.
know, but some people might. So as people age and, you know,
Okay, well, I'll go along. But I'm
So-
just saying right now, you know, they're not, a lot of people aren't gonna do that.
well, let's start trying to, not force, but educate people and try and do as much as we
Yeah.
can.
I have barely enough time getting them back from the people that are supposed to be mailing it back. they're gonna totally avoid it.
Yeah.
And that's imperative that I get that.
When do you need to order your envelopes?
Uh,
Soon, or, it looks like, when's your first major mailing?
Well, my first major mailing is, I'll do in July.
Okay, so we've got time.
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of the new computer, any specifics, any places you've been looking, or is it just generally?
Yeah, I was gonna use a general computer because Vern will set everything up. I just need like Microsoft Word and all the normal crap that goes with it. It just needs standard PC, really.
Yeah, but he's going to need the screen too, because his screen's old.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if you get a new
Well, that's not my
computer,
computer, I need
the
it.
screen's not
Right,
going
it's
to
gotta
be
be
the whole
compatible.
setup.
Yeah, that's what I meant by computer. I need a computer, the CPU, and the screen, and a new printer.
And last year, we were able to get by without getting all new screens,
Yeah.
but
And
as
I
the
still
new
have
ones are
I still
coming
have the old
through.
screen, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's it?
anything more?
Nope.
Nope, all right, you are done.
Okay.
Thank you for coming in.
Just in time, here I go again.
Good afternoon. This afternoon, we're going to be talking with the tax collector on her proposed budget for 2022. So, Cindy, would you like to introduce yourself to the public?
Good afternoon, public. I am Cindy McBride, also known as Cindy number 2 at City Hall. I am your municipal tax collector.
Okay. So Cindy, going over your budget for salary and wages, do you see any personnel changes or anything different for 2022?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, great. So what other line items do we have for the tax collector?
We have advertising,
Okay, and what is that? What do we budget for 2021?
$250.
$250? Cindy, do you see any need to increase that?
I do not.
Okay, postage is going up.
Postage is going up?
Mhm.
Oh,
That's in a different column.
yeah, that's a different column. So this is advertising.
Advertising.
This is for like your tax book, right?
This is
and-
for my
And your
tax sale.
Right?
Yeah,
I don't see that on here though.
well,
Oh, I
that's,
think maybe because we didn't get the bill.
yeah, or that, because it was in late December, yes.
Yeah.
Or it's the 9808. It's gonna come in around that number,
Yeah.
$100, yeah.
Okay,
I think we got it after
Yeah, I think you're right, so,
the 21 budget closed.
yes.
so what's the next category?
Postage.
All right, and what did we expend in 2021?
Almost what we budgeted. We budgeted 3,000 and we spent 29.42.
So
Yeah.
Cindy, I know your tax bills are what your primary that you send out every year. Is there anything else, any other type of mailing that you need to do?
There's nothing, no other mailings different from last year.
Okay, so it's just the one mass mailing that to send out to everybody with their third and fourth quarter and first and second quarter tax
We
bill?
do 2. The city's done 2 mailings because they do an estimate for the last 2 years, so
And
everything's
there's
doubled.
probably a very good chance that we'll be doing estimated taxes
Yeah.
in 2022
Yeah.
as well. So, with that, do you think that we need to increase that a little? to
I do.
cover-
I need room for that postage increase.
And any other things, like any other tax liens or anything like that that need to be incorporated into this budget? Anything more? Do you see anything expanding for 2022?
I do not.
Okay, so with the increase in postage, I think that, and with doing 2 mailings, I think that we should probably increase that to 3,500. What do you think?
I was just looking and the mailing that we did in July through Maple Direct cost us $1,068 just in postage.
All right,
So, and then the final tax bills cost us $1,040. So just for Maple Direct was over $2,000 in postage.
Yeah.
And that doesn't account the postage for your delinquents and all that.
That I use
So,
throughout
yeah,
the year.
Yes, yes. And I think we've gotten 12, here's at least 12 rolls of postage that we've gotten directly from the post office. So,
For administrative that
yeah,
we use.
yes, like for your delinquent
Yep,
notices
yep.
and all that. So that's over $600 just in rolls of stamps.
so, Mr. Julis, thank you for rejoining us, and what we were talking about right now is the tax collector's budget.
Okay?
And what do you think is the likelihood that we'll have to do estimated taxes in 2022? Because that doubles her postage and printing.
I think we should plan for it, and if we don't need
Okay.
it, yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I'd love to say that we'll be on time. There's no reason we shouldn't be on time, but there's a lot of factors in this budget that I think are gonna be unique to this year. So,
The printing.
and sorry for you being late. Thank you for
It's
the
okay.
accommodation, the indulgence.
okay, so
So up the postage then,
the postage total for 2021 was
3,200 we spent, right?
32. So we
yeah.
spent 32. Do you think 35 is going to be enough?
Actually, we spent 29, sorry.
So 35 then would be enough if we spent 29, only because postage is going up. And I don't know, I know as postage goes up, so does the bulk rate mailing. It changes as well. So it gives us a little bit of a cushion.
Yep.
What's the next category?
Printing and binding,
Okay, what did we spend in 2021?
we went over.
Yeah,
It was, we budgeted 2,650 and we spent 3,200. So, but that was the cost of the estimated bills and then the cost of the annual bills.
and I had an additional upcharge for the insert from the clerk's office that they had to fold and put in.
That should have been charged to my budget though.
Was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Okay.
usually have that.
Yeah, I remember
Charged to
splitting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that was 3,200.
3,200,
And
correct.
so what, I mean, printing, everything's going up, the cost
I
of
was gonna
paper.
say, they're gonna go up.
So, do you
I'm sorry,
think,
This is printing and binding?
yeah,
This is an anomaly year. We've been around 1,500. We did something additional this year.
because we did estimated taxes, which
Yeah,
means you're
we
actually
did it
doing
twice.
that mailing twice.
Yeah, so I think that's what's gonna be again then.
So then we just should add a little cushion to it, because the price of paper's going up,
Okay,
and I expect the price of services will go up too.
so you said 3,200?
That's what we spent, right?
31,
In
yeah.
2021 is what we spent.
So if we can take it to 35.
Sure. Okay.
There's some other things in there too, besides the,
Right, I mean, Cindy also gets like 5 rolls of stamps, that helps us to mail out delinquent tax notices,
Mm-hmm.
and then her tax sale, she's got to do mailings for that. So all of that is incorporated into this.
Okay.
What's next?
Vital,
Okay.
$200.
How much is it?
$200.
Well-
Yeah, that's $100 a tape, so there's 2 tapes. One for the estimate, one for the final.
And do we do anything with Vital to join the tax assessor to the tax collector's records?
that's what this is, right?
That's the tape.
Oh,
yeah.
that's the tape?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the assessor is on Vital, and then when I need a tape to run my bills, estimate and finals, I get that tape from Vital, and that's the assessor's stuff, and it comes over to Edmunds.
Okay. Next?
Books and publications, you didn't use it last year, you haven't used it any year, it's $50. I'm sure one year you'll need to buy a book. Office computer supplies, $269, down from $450.
Yeah, I had asked last year, I remember asking you to bump that up a little for me, Michael, because I had a shared office space.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know, I would of course just order some printing ink and so on, not
Right.
knowing who's using what. I don't know what the plans are on that going forward, if we should leave that be or not.
Well, what we did spend it on were the, your envelopes from
Yep.
the print shop in Hunterdon County.
Yeah, okay. So I will need those again, but, so that's $269,
Yes.
yeah.
And
Right.
again, papers increased,
Yeah.
and I haven't seen much of an increase in the county print shop. Have you, Sue, when you get the
No.
bills? Okay. We should
Not
just
yet.
plan for an increase in paper fees.
Yeah, that's a great resource though, the
It is.
county, yeah.
I mean, we get like a case of envelopes for that amount of money, which
Yep.
is unheard of.
All right, that was computer supplies. Conference and meetings, 0, we budgeted 350. 0 spent.
Yeah, I didn't attend anything, I don't plan on attending anything.
Okay. Your tax education and training,
My day job covers that.
handled otherwise?
Yeah.
Yep. That's been zeroed out.
Yeah,
Dues, we did pay $100 for dues last year, and it was zeroed out account, so the city maintains a membership.
I guess that dues would have been with the Central Jersey, do you think, tax collectors?
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly what
So
it
we gotta
was.
make
Okay.
sure we budget $100 for that next year.
Sure, that would be wonderful.
Should we do soon, too?
Yeah,
March?
yeah.
Okay. Travel, $15.68. That looks
No
like it was a
idea what
Starbucks
that is.
visit. I mean,
That was Cindy picking up your envelopes. Cindy won picking up
Oh,
your
okay,
envelopes.
okay,
I told you,
reimbursement,
I pick up envelopes.
Okay.
She does.
good. All right, I'm sorry, food is 0. The $15.68 was not the Starbucks, it's 0 for food, so I should set the record straight.
So, could I say one thing, it's food related. A few years back, I had the state come in and do a senior citizen, right? All their deductions and all the kinds of tax programs from the state that they could sign up for. I didn't get a good turnout. But now we have Lambertville Matters, we have a little bit better communication system, setting up. And maybe if you could serve them some if we had I don't know, some sandwiches, maybe we could get a turnout. But then is 2022 gonna be the year where we can ask seniors to come in the room with all of us,
And eat,
and eat?
yeah, yeah.
So maybe we'll skip that, Michael.
I know in the past that used, when the former tax collector would have seniors come in and stuff the tax bills,
Yeah,
and they were fed lunch
Yeah.
while they were stuffing their tax
yeah,
bills.
we gave that up because of
Yeah.
COVID, so.
Yes.
Not a bad idea, just maybe not this year.
Understood, Michael, thank you.
All right, computer data processing equipment.
That's the same, that would be Edmonds, right?
It's Edmonds, and then that's where I put the tax sale people.
Yep.
Came in right under budget on that one, it's nice. And anything on liquidation, TTL and foreclosure prop?
Not that I'm
0.
aware of, no.
So have we ever budgeted anything in that line?
500.
500.
So I think we should, because we have a couple pieces of property that in the past couple of years, we've been investigating whether we can clear the deed and sell.
That made it in the first pass last time in the budget, and I think we had to reduce it
We did.
because of strains.
Correct.
Do
And
you
it's
remember about the amount of money?
It's $750 per property, and I know we have 2 that we're currently looking at.
Okay.
So that would be my wish list.
$1,500.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's per property, 750.
yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so we fit. So even if we just did one property this year, budget for one, see how far we get. But,
Right, the return would be so much more.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's always the case, Michael knows that.
Mhm.
Do we, question, do we have the bandwidth to pursue it?
I think we're really close.
So who does the laboring war on that one? Who does the work?
Well, that would be through the city attorney. He would order a title search so that we would know that we are 100% with all of the owners. And then through that, we can clear the deed,
Okay, so
take
it's
action.
internal.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, I would think they'd need an appraisal. Wasn't appraisal mentioned too?
In one of them,
Yeah, one of them was related to an
Right.
appraisal that they would want to assign the lien.
Okay. Good.
I have one item on my wish list. If there's some education funding, there's a city employee that I would like to, take the tax collection courses. So if we can do one each year.
Okay.
I don't think that's too aggressive.
no, I don't think so.
No, and they're online now, which is extremely helpful.
How many classes, Cindy, do they?
There's 3
Three
classes,
classes.
and then there's a review class, which is
So a total of 4.
4.
And is the first class a prerequisite to the next?
Correct.
Okay.
Remind me, do we have a general education line, or do we?
We do
put the
not, it's
cost
by
per
department.
Okay,
By department. So we'll go into Cindy's.
so do you have an idea of the cost?
Well, $1,200 or $1,300 a class, yeah.
So 1,300 per year, or 2 classes a year?
No, I would say 1 class a year. I think 2 is too aggressive, you know.
How long are they?
Huh?
How long are they?
Usually about 8 weeks.
Okay, so much longer than any of the other.
Yeah.
Okay,
If you do Saturdays, I think it can be 6.
okay.
Great. All right. Anything else?
I have nothing.
All
No,
right.
sir.
Well, thank you.
I'm a
Always
happy
prepared.
camper this year.
Are you? That makes me happy.
Me
Good.
too.
Good. You got the support you need to do
Yep.
your job.
I do.
That's great.
It's all spectacular.
Wow. We should end it right there.
Yep.
There's nothing better than spectacular.
It's true. It's all spectacular. I thought of what things were like this time last year, and I was frazzled was the word. Yeah.
The team really pulled together the last few months to get us
The
to.
right people in place, and everything's spectacular.
Good. Well,
Like
thank
you.
you for what you do.
Yeah.
I know you're a small office with a lot of obligations, so thank you.
Sure thing.
All right. Pause the hearing for the moment.
Welcome back, everybody.
Good.
Now we're on to finance.
All right, our last hearing of the day, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. So, Sue, maybe you and I can tag team on finance and move through these expenses. So finance, administration, salary and wages, do we anticipate any major changes? None that I can think of for the next year.
No?
Are we
Okay.
going to pursue doing the accounts receivable clerk or no?
I didn't know that was still on the table.
I
I thought we were staffed where we need to be staffed. I don't want to say yes or no, I need to now think because it's a good question.
Okay,
So let's add that as the open item, the accounts receivable clerk.
okay.
Okay. Postage delivery charges. Last year, we barely spent any money in that category.
Right, I've moved everything, or as much as I can, to electronic emailing out the purchase orders instead of mailing them. So that's been
That's great, that's a
Big help.
huge task, so thank you for that.
So are we anticipating that we could drop this amount down by almost $1,200 or some
I
portion
do
of
need to order, and, oh, that's just for stamps, so,
postage and delivery?
yeah, postage and delivery, I would say yes,
We can reduce
we
it.
can reduce it.
Okay, should we maybe reduce it down to 300?
How about 5?
Okay. It's still 900 less
Just
than
in
previous
case,
year.
yeah, because with, there might be some FedEx deliveries that need to be charged to finance and,
Sure.
with Chris being remote and everything, so.
Okay. Printing and binding, I think we put that up to 100. It was 94.60 last year.
That was the advertising for the, the intro budget ad is where I put that, so.
Okay. Maintenance and other equipment, it hasn't been utilized since
I
quite
have
some
no-
time. Yeah, leave it at 0. Miscellaneous other. We budgeted 13.5, only spent $15.
Yeah, that may have been, there as a placeholder for other, admins.
Yes. Yeah, enhancements.
Utility, right,
Right.
thank you.
Yes.
I couldn't think.
So we ended up putting that into admin? We did the
Yes.
expenditure.
Yes, because, I think we put the electronic requisitions there
Yes.
because it was a shared thing throughout the department instead of breaking it down per department.
So we could reduce this to
Well, the $15 was even that's something that Chris had entered as a bank correction, so I don't even know,
We can reduce it to 0 then,
yeah,
okay. Books and publications, 0.
yeah, I have nothing.
Computer office supplies, this, we used the full amount last year.
Toner is, for my printer, is very expensive. So that's with the, it's mostly Staples, and then my year-end 1099s and W-2 forms.
So we'll round it up to 2,100, and we spent 2,065 last year, and, okay.
Yeah, the, each toner cartridge for my printer is $138, I think.
All right, conferences and meetings, nothing spent last year.
I don't have any plans to attend anything.
Education and training,
I don't have any plans.
okay. If we, being that there was a request from another department, if we reduce this out, we may be able to use this somewhere else then. So, so we can reduce to 1,200 from education and training and move it to the tax collector, possibly, provided we have the money to do that.
Well, we reduced, the other category we reduced was what? What did we took a big chunk of money.
Out of delivery postage.
Yes, so that might help as well.
Mhm. Uniform maintenance, 0. Professional association dues, 0. Travel, 0. Office, this is a great, it's a great department. Office, 0. Equipment. Furnishing, 0.
Wait a minute, equipment.
What do we need?
Do you need a new computer with everything, all the troubles you're having?
I just need Book First to fix this laptop.
But your desktop's
My
fine.
desktop's fine.
It's just the
Just that
laptop,
Mike
okay.
switched that monitor out because whatever reason it stopped working, and
The big one?
one of my monitors stopped working, and that's why Mike brought up the other monitor. Because they said, I don't know. When it comes to technology, I have no clue.
So we may need something up there to fix whatever she's got going on. And I don't know.
Did you have them, how many monitors did you have originally?
I have 2 monitors. And
One of them went on
one-
the fritz.
Well, actually, my whole computer just wouldn't function. But then they Look First indicated that it was the monitor that was causing the issue.
What happened to
Whether
that
that's true
monitor?
or not, I don't know.
What happened to that monitor? It's still there?
No, Mike swapped it out for
So
a
we're-
newer one, an updated one.
So we probably citywide or net one minus one monitor then, right? Did we,
So we're very frugal.
I don't even know where that
And
monitor came from.
And every time we get new equipment, we put old equipment upstairs in the attic. So this was one of the newer pieces from the older equipment that we swapped out.
so do we need to replace a monitor or are we okay?
Yes. As I think we need to plan to replace her monitor, because if I understand Mike correctly, she's got a newer hard drive that does not connect yet with the connection is wonky.
Okay.
And so I would like to see us budget, $900 to cover whatever issues she's having with this laptop, because she can't take it, it's not meant.
It's like I can't use it outside of City Hall. It's
So
very-
Mike's idea, Mike is our technology specialist, is to give a docking station so that actually replaces.
I would suggest if Mike has a technology plan that this would be the time that he complete it and put it forward.
Okay.
Let's put the 900 here because we know we had to replace a monitor with an older monitor and that monitor probably won't last.
Correct.
But, we have the in-house person in Mike who could put together a very affordable but smart plan,
Yes.
and maybe we need to look at that in the admin budget.
Okay, the other issue now that you're talking about computer is my printer is starting to make a squeal. So I haven't investigated as to what that's caused by.
Mine too. There are times when they stop working,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they start again.
All right, so we'll make a note for a technology plan. Sure. You'll request that of Mike?
Mike is actually already working on it.
When do you think he can get it to us by then?
Well, he did, we got, a lot of this information is waiting on our technology company to supply to him. And he's also working on gathering some information, so he's waiting on quotes. I would say give him to the end of the month.
Great. Excellent. We got enough to do between now and then.
I stand corrected, the hosting fee is what we charge to the admin line for Edmunds, not the electronic requisitions. Electronic
Which
requisitions,
line, please?
up in the beginning.
Miscellaneous other?
Yes, miscellaneous other.
The $15 is the hosting fee?
No, no, I had mentioned that we had budgeted that money
Yeah,
for the electronic requisitions,
right.
that I thought we went to admin, it did not. Only the hosting fee is charged to admin for Edmunds.
Okay, so on the last line, computer data processing equipment, we're over by about that amount of money, I'm thinking.
That's all of my Edmunds, that's the software, which is, let me think. It's the finance module and the escrow module is the $6,775, and then the electronic requisition module is $4,500.
Okay, so we should be budgeting, we'll go back to the hosting fees in a moment, I'm sorry, but we have these numbers in front of us. For computer data processing, we should be budgeting $11,500
Yes,
for 2022,
yes.
right? $11,500 for 2022. Now, where's the hosting fee?
In the admin budget,
General admin,
yes.
got it. That's what we said.
No, I said electronic requisitions.
Okay, and how much, then, do you have an idea how much is sitting in general admin? If not, we'll deal with it later.
I can look it up real quick if you want me to.
Yeah, just so that we get a handle on it for next time.
Did we put it under professional service? No, it's probably under technology. Where's SEO? Edmunds is in here somewhere. Hosting fee is $3,750. For Edmunds,
$3,750.
$3,750.
And that's all departments, correct?
Yes, that's why it went
Yeah.
in admin.
Great.
I believe they're the only Edmunds charges for the year. The tax collector has a portion of our annual bill goes towards the tax collector as well.
Okay. Good.
That's it.
Anything else? All right.
So,
Madam Chair, anything else?
nothing else from my end. Thank you,
Mr.
everyone.
Berger?
All good here?
All right.
Thank you for joining us, Ryan, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
All
So our
right.
next date is on Thursday, February 10th. And we'll see you all then.
All right, thank you.